Citizen FM, Abuja.
The time is 12 noon. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Citizen FM's News at Noon. I am Philomena Okolo. The federal government has lashed out at some foreign embassies for allegedly issuing an unverified terror warning on the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, posting clickbait and causing panic in the country. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, delivered the disavowal at a ministerial session of the ongoing UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Week in Abuja. Mohammed said if indeed such security alerts was necessary, it was for the attention of citizens of the issuing countries in Nigeria and not for the Nigerian public. The United Kingdom insisted there was a terror alert, which is updated as having an increased threat of attack by terrorists on Nigeria's seat of power. It, however, warned that the attacks in Nigeria could be indiscriminate and might affect Western interest as well as places visited by tourists. The minister said some media outlets and social media personalities were usually caught spreading unverified information on their platforms just for clickbait and the attendant monetary gain. President Muhammadu Buhari has told former United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon that Nigeria is experiencing the negative fallout of climate change seen in the flooding in different parts of the country, as well as encroaching desertification and drought in northern Nigeria. Buhari made the comment at the audience he granted the former United Nations scribe on the sidelines of the First World Bio Summit 2022 in Seoul, South Korea. Describing education as a key investment in addressing unemployment and underdevelopment, the president also noted that health challenges must be equally addressed. Petrol scarcity has hit different parts of Nigeria, forcing motorists to spend hours at filling stations. Causing motorists to spend hours at filling stations while battling to get the product. Black marketers had a field day selling a litre of fuel at 300 to 400 in many parts of the country. Many motorists were forced to patronize them as the unpalatable alternative was to wait for hours in filling stations. Amidst long queues and waiting hours in Lagos, some filling stations sold a litre of premium motor spirit at 200 naira per litre as against the approved price of 180 to 185 per litre.
We have everything in place to make life much more easy for the common man. But what we are seeing now is not what we expected at all. But nevertheless, for what they are saying, I think they say they'll start selling soon, and I think they have some kind of issues. According to the manager, is operating, say there's some issues, but it will resolve.
I came here this morning. As I came out, I saw the queue every filling station I met. So I see it. Let me try this place. So it remains more for me to get the fuel. They say the fuel has finished.
Just drove up and I got to everyone and I had to buy fuel, and I found there's queues everywhere in the filling station. I'm sure.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has donated the sum of 55 million to flood victims in Bayelsa State. Speaking at the government house, Yenagua, during a sympathy visit yesterday, Abubakar said the donation was his token to support the recovery process of those affected by the flood. Describing the disaster as disheartening, he lamented its effect on the lives and economy of the people of the state. He also called on the federal government and public-spirited individuals and organizations to support Bayelsa in this difficult moment. The former vice president advocated the setting up of an independent flood disaster relief fund that would provide succor to victims and a temporary fund for farmers to be able to gain their losses and provide them with capital for next year's planting season.
If elected as president in the presidential elections next year, I shall commit to completing the Dading Hausa Dam in Adamawa State to manage the releases of excess water from Lacto Dam in the Cameroon Republic. If elected as president in the presidential elections next year, I shall commit to completing the Dading Hausa Dam in Adamawa State to manage the releases of excess water from Lacto Dam.
Responding, the Bayelsa State Governor, Senator Doyediri, said people of the state were encouraged by the display of love by the former vice president. Diri, while confirming receipt of the donation, said he was the first presidential candidate to donate such amount, assuring that the money will be paid into the flood relief account for the benefit of victims. Diri lamented the slow response of the federal government, despite several efforts by him to get the attention of the relevant authorities.
A father has played his role as a father. This role, I thought our father, the federal government, would have even played long before you came. But you have come the first presidential candidate to drop the sum of 50 million naira to victims who are still suffering.
Meanwhile, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has attributed the increase in the pump price of premium motor spirit to the hike in the private depot prices. While condemning the increase, Ipman said that there had been an increase in depot price of fuel from 148.17 per litre to 178 naira per litre since last week. Ipman said none of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited depots have products, and the private depots took advantage of the situation to hike the price.
And, the NNPC people need to do what they call balancing so that everywhere will start getting, pretty soon everything will be over. They have enough product to dispense. By next year, there will be food regulation of this sector, where people will not come out and play in the big league and even the smaller league. And then NNPC is saddled with all the responsibility. It's huge for them. But I think by the time they begin to allow people to participate, people with money in other sectors can also come in. That way, there will be a level playing field.
A federal high court on Tuesday nullified the primaries of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. The court gave the judgment in a suit brought before it by some aggrieved members of the party who had during the primaries alleged exclusion from the process. Meanwhile, the APC, in a swift reaction, described the judgment as a travesty of justice. His party's state publicity secretary, Darlington Waju, said the attempt to exclude the main opposition party in the state from the ballot in 2023, like what happened in 2019, will fail. He assured Rivers people that the attempt to rehash the 2019 episode in Rivers State is already dead on arrival. Nothing will stop the APC in Rivers State from being on the ballot in 2023. Now onto the foreign scene. Russia is insisting Ukraine is planning to employ dirty bombs to deflect global attention in the ongoing conflicts. Russian Defense Secretary Sergei Shoigu claimed that Ukraine had concluded plans to use a radioactive dirty bomb and then blame the attack on Moscow. It follows months of threats to deploy tactical nuclear weapons by Moscow in response to perceived threats to Russia.
Ukraine has the capacity, Ukraine has all the reasons to do so, because we know that Zelensky regime wants to avoid, first of all, defeat. Secondly, wants to involve NATO for direct clash with Russia, which is very dangerous, and but which will be profitable for Zelensky regime to remain in power. Ukraine has.
Meanwhile, Western countries have doubted the claims by Russia. Both the United States and United Kingdom said the claim suggests Russia was establishing a pretense to escalate the conflict.
There would be consequences for Russia, whether it uses a nuclear weapon or a dirty bomb. So we'll continue to keep the lines of communication open. And in the meantime, our focus from a Department of Defense standpoint will continue to be on supporting Ukraine.
President Joe Biden got an updated COVID-19 vaccine booster shot and urged Americans to follow his example ahead of winter, saying no one need die anymore from the once devastating virus. Biden, 79, contracted the coronavirus 3 months ago with mild symptoms and already received a second booster for the vaccine at the end of March. His updated shot given in front of journalists at the White House targets 2 subvariants of the virus.
Update your COVID vaccine. It's incredibly effective, but the truth is not enough people are getting it. We've got to change that so we can all have a safe and healthy holiday season. That's why I'm getting my shot updated today. And I think we're a little intimidated the nurse is going to give it to me. We told her it's on television, but anyway. As we know, this virus is constantly changing. New variants have emerged here in the U.S. and around the world. We've seen cases of hospitalizations rise in Europe in recent weeks, and the weather is getting colder.
That was President Joe Biden. Now on to the sports scene. The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, has congratulated Enoch Nwali for winning the 14th edition of the African Scrabble Championship, which ended in Lusaka, Zambia. The minister also congratulated Adekoyejo Adegbasan, who was elected as president of the Pan-Africa Scrabble Association after he defeated the incumbent Mohamed Kamara. Wali, who won the title for the first time, defeated his closest rival and compatriot Wellington Jigere in a tightly contested round 31. A third-year undergraduate of health education at the University of Lagos, Wali won 25.5 games with a cumulative score of 2,023 to finish in first position, ahead of former world champion Jigere and two-time African champion Prince Omosefe. And that was Citizen FM's news at noon, as edited by Lawrence Umoite. To listen to us online, please visit citizenfm.ng. I am Philomena Okolo. Thank you for listening. Do stay tuned.
Abuja.
Wake up. Reach out. Speak up. Speak out. You are the voice of a new generation. And this
Is your station.
Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM.